Hey everyone, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I'm your host Khalid Mohidin. This is the review show. South Africa beating Pakistan quite convincingly in this particular match. I have to say that it was a much improved bowling performance that actually set up the match for South Africa. And obviously another 50 from Aiden Markram, which is excellent that he's getting into this form right now in South African colours, scoring 2 half centuries in a row now in the first 2 games. So very good from Aiden Markram. And then Heinrich Klaassen showing what he can do as well to take South Africa home. But let's talk about that bowling performance, particularly from the George Linder and from Lazard Williams. Great aggression, great consistency, good bowling from the both of them. 3 wickets for the both, and it was a real good performance all around. The only really negative that you can maybe think about is maybe Sasanda Bagala's first over. We went for we bowled 12 balls in the over. I think Mpo told us that it's about 18 runs in the over, and then 4 no balls in that first 4 balls of his over. So it was a very expensive over. But in the next 3 overs is what is important, how we brought it back. Because I'm always about how players bounce back, because you can easily go for a lot of runs in 1 over, and then the following over you can see the similar type of nightmare. But Sasanda Magala pulled it back excellently. I think he only went for 14 runs in his next 3 overs. So 1 wicket, a run out of his own bowling as well in that particular in those last 3 overs. So excellent from that side. I would like to see some improvements, obviously, from Bjorn Hendricks. I feel he's the senior guy. He needs to take more responsibility in the side now. He's been around the block quite a lot now recently and been quite regular. Before I get Mpo on the show and before I get my guest on the show today, I don't know who's going to be signing in. It's one of those type of things. I like that. I don't have to know what's happening. It's almost like a surprise. You open up a lucky packet and you get a Spider-Man card. Yes, so that's what I want to see. But get subscribing, guys. Click that subscribe button. Click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell for all future videos, and be a part of this Cricket Fanatics Magazine family. We almost on 2,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell all the people that you know to tune in to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. We have daily shows for you, of course. So without further ado, let me bring on Mpo. Let's get the party started.
Hey, what's up?
I think a lot more positives to speak about.
Yeah, a lot more positive.
Yeah. Before the match, of course, I still want to see Patron Bouillon out of the side and Calverena in. I think that's the only thing that I would like to obviously still see, because, like I always say, and I'm a little bit more harsh, and I like Pate. The few conversations that I've had with Pate, I love the way he thinks about cricket. I love how respectful he is as a person and as a player. He has shown his ability, obviously, in domestic cricket for South Africa and for the Tshwane Spartans. But my argument for all players that are in their 30s, I feel that if youngsters can be thrown on the wayside like so quickly in so many games, well, I've seen youngsters get 1 or 2 games that don't play well and then they get dumped from the team. I think it should be more so for more experienced players that are in their 30s. They need to come into the team and put on performances and show that they are instantly fitting into a lineup, not still giving an opportunity and giving them chances after chance if they're not performing. Whereas you got a guy that scored a 60 in the last game in an ODI sitting on the bench, which I'm a bit concerned about. I think I'm of the idea that Calverena is a type of player that the team should be built around because of his mentality, because he plays with the right mentality, he has the right mindset. His attitude is perfect to take the South African team forward. He has a quality that we look for in all South African players. But what are your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on the game, first and foremost, Mpo?
Well done to the Aiden Markram fans. Well done. He's got a lovely half century. I've got the haters in the column there calling me out. So yeah, well done to him. A really dominant performance. That's what we want to see. Look, your view. Your views on Calverena, I think, are echoed by a lot of people. But if Mark Butcher doesn't see him as the anchor, he's not going to play. And the question, obviously, at the start of each tour, we ask them, what's the plan, what's the purpose? And if this purpose is to win, then he might as well roll out this 11 again, because there's no need to change it, right? The only thing you probably would change is Andile out for another batsman, because you really don't need another seamer with the way they play today. he was surplus to requirements. But look, what's this?
I'm laughing at what you said, surplus for requirements.
No, but that's what he is, because he never got to bowl today. So then what's the point of taking Andile? If as a batsman you could have just picked someone else to bat. Because you've also got
a bit of a waste.
as an off spinner, and because there was a point in like the 11th over when I think Linda finished his 4 and Tabrez had finished 3 and he had taken the wicket. I kind of felt that maybe a few more overs of spin could get you over the line, but.
I'm surprised that they don't try Libba in that off spin. He's an off spin, of course, and we don't have that in the side. A batsman that can bowl a little off spin. It's quite surprising that they haven't actually tried him out with the ball as well.
Yeah, so it kind of felt like that was one of the questions that I had. I was like, I'd like to see Vian Libba actually bowl a little bit to give them something, but the plans on Mark Barcher's head, and they were executed well by Heinrich Klaassen today. I think the bowlers did quite well. I would have actually had, so obviously George Linda's man of the match performance. That first bowler was incredible. Lazard Williams is 3 for, what is it, 23 or 33. That was really, really good. And so that's essentially what Mark Barcher wanted. Obviously, Sanda came back, and that for me was important. What irritated me was nobody was talking to him. But true to form, he needs to sort his no ball situation out. Mm. In the CSA T20, he was hanging around that line quite a lot. Obviously, we didn't have third umpires calling them on TV. So look, it was great. It was a very clinical performance because I think after 11 overs, my point was you need to exert even further more pressure on them to restrict them to even get to 160. You can't allow them to get there, and so they did that very well. And then obviously the batting it made it an easier chase after that. Yes, I know that as Bevan says, Aidan Markham's got 2 half centuries and Bavuma has none, but it's beautiful that Bavuma was named as captain. So here we go. But look, I honestly do think it's a headache for the selectors and a headache for everyone with Aidan scoring runs at the top, especially for Yanaman as well, because it's going to be hard leaving people out, and we could have a World Cup where Aidan, Yanaman, and possibly even possibly even Heinrich Klaassen sitting out. But obviously, we don't know how large the squad might be. If it's a 17-man squad, they might take one of either Aidan or Yanaman, with Heinrich Klaassen taking that other batting spot, dependent on whether Rassie fits into the side or whether Rassie fits into the starting 11, or if depending on whether AB or Faf come. Well, I know Faf's back, but if AB's coming back, so it's a massive headache for the selectors, which is what you want. And yeah, look, I think the guys bowled quite well. And look, I love the way George Linda bowled today, and I kind of felt that Pakistan fell into the same trap that Mohammad Nawaz put South Africa in up front, with allowing them to bowl 3 overs of spin. At an economy rate of just under 7. I think George Linda's first 3 overs were for 14 or 15, which is criminal in a power play. So that's kind of what held them up. But they just kept on losing wickets at regular intervals, and it was just wild that Mohammad Rizwan, we've struggled to get out in Pakistan, and here finally got out on a first bowler. So that was a good thing. Look, I think the question obviously is now for the coaching staff is, do you want to see other people, or do you want to continue and try and win this series? So that would give an indication of how guys of what the selection will be. Because if you want to win, then you keep the same 11. If you want to see other people, you might give other guys an opportunity, like bring Calvarena in, bring in Vian Mulder, bring in Miguel Pretorius, give other guys an opportunity. Bjorn Fortuin deserves an opportunity as well, but I don't think you're going to drop a guy who's gotten a man of the match performance, as well as dropping your number 1 T20 bowler in the world. So it's a little bit hard, but it's going to be very interesting to see how the team comes out on Wednesday, because I think that's an important part of that.
If Aiden continues batting like this in the rest of the series, because I think of that the South Africa play, which he probably will be going to Ireland, he probably will be playing against the other teams as well that we will be playing up against, then it's going to be very difficult to drop him from the starting 11.
But
There's no.
then where do you? So would you drop Yaneman or because you can't drop Temba because he's the captain?
Yeah, so
Unless if you open
I don't know if
with.
they open with Aiden and Quinny and then move him down one, but maybe Bavuma
But you
into three.
can't remember you've got Faf and you've got Rassi and you've got Thingy, and that's my problem with that's what the issue is with Aiden's coming off form, is that he wasn't supposed to be there. Temba's hamstring helped him get inside, and now he's obviously balling out, which is awesome. But going to the World Cup with Temba being captain, you've got Quinny opening, Temba at 2, probably Faf at 3, Rassi at 4, or AB de Villiers at 4. At 5, you'll probably have David Miller. And 6, you're probably going to have to try find another all-rounder, maybe Chris Morris, Dwayne Pretorius, somebody who can bowl a bit to kind of to balance it out. So then where does Aiden fit? Does Aiden go on tour with them to the World Cup as a reserve batsman? Or do you pick Heinrich Klaasen because he can take the gloves and he can bat anywhere in that top 4? Those are the questions that need to be done. And I think, like I said in the last show, it might be a little bit too late for Aiden to make a case for himself. It's never too late because injuries can happen, and I think that's the only way he can make his way into the side is if it's through injuries. But we want this form. We want him pushing guys in there, but you can't drop the guys who've been playing in the IPL, and also you've selected a captain, so you've hamstrung yourself there. So there's no way you're going to drop Quinny. There's no way if AB's available, you're not going to pick him. There's no way if Faf's available, you're not going to pick him. But he deserves to be there. It's just the way the selection is. I'm being as fair as I can be. And that's what it is. We're happy for him, and I am one guy who's happy that Aiden's scoring runs. It's just, how do you fit him into a World Cup 11? Or even a 15-man squad. If it's a 17-man squad, it would be easier because you probably would take him. But that's the only problem that you have is Temba's opening spot that he's got. Unless if you want to push Yaneman out and pick Aiden, then that's the other question. Is it a question between Yaneman and Aiden, and bear in mind those two might not even be going to the World Cup.
Yeah,
so
you don't know.
It's. No, because you can't.
Riza Hendricks is also in the mix because
exactly.
He was out because obviously he would have probably played as well. So
he probably would have opened today in place of Aiden. So that's where the issue lies. But the other question I want to know is, when's Rassi coming back? Because he's in the squad, and I'd like to see Rassi get a go in that middle order just to. Yeah, and I think that's where that's the other. I think Pite van Biljon is playing because Rassi's injured, and obviously if Rassi was playing, Heinrich Klaasen would probably be batting at 5. So if Rassi's coming back, that also makes it harder for Kyle to fit into the side, and so there's a lot of headaches that Mark Barcher needs to do, which is why clarity of thought. Is really important in terms of what you want as a coach going to the World Cup and what you communicate to us as a nation. Because what's the purpose of the series? Are we giving guys opportunities? If we're giving guys opportunities, the score can't be important. It's about seeing what guys can do. Yeah, and I think that's largely one of the key things that the selectors are going to be struggling with is. The other things, the IPL 5 don't bowl. The top 5 from the IPL, they don't bowl.
AB is going to cause a massive conundrum. When he comes back, he's going to go straight into the side. It's going to mix up everything. So I'm almost certain that Boucher will call for AB back.
And also next year's World Cup. Remember it's back to back. So next year's World Cup, if AB plays this one, he's probably going to play next year's one. The other thing is Chris Morris, Marco Jansen, Anut Nokia, Kagiso Baraglungi, Ngidi. One of those guys is not going to go to the World Cup. And we're going to be told, why didn't you pick a guy who played in the IPL for someone else? So we have so many issues to deal with. And I'd say pick the IPL guys and just go with it. And you can run around and you can figure out anything else, because I wouldn't want to be a selector because you're going to be dropping someone who's bowled well for Mumbai Indians, i.e. Marco Jansen, and everyone's going to be taking you out to cleaners when South Africa doesn't win or doesn't do well at the World Cup.
Yeah, I was very impressed with. I'm very impressed with the guys that did come in here and getting their debuts, etc. I mean, okay, Sasanda's been. I think it's too little games for you to completely judge him. I think that the first game was up and down all over the place. This particular game started off up really badly, and then he came back into the match. But I think those Yorker deliveries, he showed what he can do over there. His wider balls, deliveries, his cutters. But Lazard Williams for me really impressed me in both games. You can see how accurate he is with those Yorkers, those deadly Yorkers that he bowls. The off cutter is very good at as well. He's changed up his speed a bit, his aggression. Everything about Lazard just screams out Protea to me. So, I mean, we are looking for those extra couple of guys to fill the squad, to be able to rotate guys around. We still have a problem, obviously, with the left-arm seamer that is of that caliber of KG. And, I don't think Bjorn falls into the category of KG and them yet. And you can't say yet because he's even old. He's older than them. So it's crazy when you look at it like that. But I don't know. There's something about Lazard that just screams. He has a cool head. It's calm and collected.
No.
He's under pressure.
And it's very late that he got a call up. It's very late that he got a call up, and the fact that he gets a call up 6 months before World Cup, because I don't think it's enough time for him to move up the rungs of that bowling of the bowling arsenal that South Africa have. Obviously, you've got the three guys, KG, Anas, and Lungi. You've got Marco Jansen, who's hovering around there. Nobody knows where he's going to land. You've also got guys like then Lazard comes in, but you've also got guys like Andile as well, who can come in as you can pick him as a bowler because he's one of the best white ball bowlers that South Africa have had. And then you come with that group with Sisanda, Lazard, Bjorn Hendricks. I think Sisanda and Lazard have probably done enough to go ahead of Bjorn at this point in time, and we're also waiting to see Miguel Pretorius. And so the question is, how many fast bowlers do you take to the World Cup? Especially on top of that, comparing that with the spinners as well, who also need to be included in this bowling arsenal. You've got Tabrez, you've got the question between George Linder coming to the World Cup. You've got Imran Tahir's availability as well. And it's going to be very hard for him to make, if you're taking 8 bowlers, you're going to have to try to figure out a way to get those guys back in. And I think if Lazard had played a little bit earlier, he may have made a case for himself.
Okay. I'm going to bring on Aditya. I want to get his thoughts and his wrap-up of the game as well. Welcome, Aditya. I know that you rushed home to be here, so thanks a lot for doing so. Give me a summary of the game. What your thoughts are about the performances that did take place, and is there anybody that you may be looking at for the next game, or are you happy with just keeping the same 11?
Okay, I think this is a sort of clinical dominant performance that we've been wanting to see from a South African team for quite a while, and they really set the tone with George Linder coming in as the opening bowler and taking Rizwan off the first over, and then Sharjeel off the third over. So that really set the tone, and it put Pakistan on the back foot straight away. Throughout the innings, Lazard Williams bowled well. Magala had a great comeback. Buren was pretty tight, and Tabrez Shamsi bowled well also. So I think overall, from a bowling point of view, it was quite a complete performance, I think we can say. Batting, again, very impressive. To chase down this total in 14 overs indicated that the mindset was to go hammer and tongs from ball 1. So good to see Aiden Markham scored another 50. I think it's going to do him a world of good. With the sort of confidence that you get in scoring 2 consecutive 50s, and same with Heinrich Larsson. I think he's had a really tough summer, and to see him really, cap it off with a couple of good scores is heartening, and I'm very happy for him. Overall, Mike Hazeman, when the game started, he was baffled that Kyle Verreynne wasn't in the team. So I'd like to see Kyle Verreynne in the team. That would be pretty serious, as well as Miguel Pretorius. That would be pretty good as well. I feel bad for Buren Hendricks because I thought that there was an improvement from last game, and for him to be bowling, although he didn't take wickets, but for him to be bowling at an economy rate of 6.5 and thereabouts was a good performance. I think he did pretty well today on a wicket that was pretty batting friendly. So I think overall, South African fans should be very happy tonight.
And there's obviously the debate that's going to be going in the live chat at the moment. It's probably going to be a debate. I wouldn't call it really a debate necessarily, but that opening spot with Quinton de Kock. I mean, Aiden Markham knocking on the door now for that. But Temba Bavuma, that's Temba Bavuma's spot as the captain of South Africa. So how do you see us juggling it around, especially with Faf coming back and AB maybe coming back and Rassie still coming back into this lineup? I mean, these are the headaches that South Africa want to have, isn't it?
Definitely. It is a sort of headache that South Africa would want to have. But in saying that, they should also realize that with these players coming in, the style of play would change a little bit as well. Because if you look at this team, there's no real sort of anchor in the team. Everyone's really going hammer and tongs, which is good to see. I think it's good to see a South African team play with freedom. But in saying that, I do think that the experience of Faf, as well as Temba's real maturity with the bat, and rotating strike will come into handy. We don't know what the deal is with AB de Villiers and whether he'll be back or not. But certainly in Indian conditions, in tough conditions where things may not be as free flowing as they might have been in the last two games. I think the style of play would need to be a bit more adaptive, and Quinton de Kock, Temba, Faf, Rassie, these guys would bring that to the table as well. So
can you imagine that lineup? Can you imagine that lineup? Really, seriously, my mouth's watering. Rassie in that lineup with AB, with Faf, I will play Rassie as well. I mean, Rassie, Faf, AB, and Temba and Quinton still coming back. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, one of those situations is, my stance on the new generation and giving people a chance. But if AB's firing like he's firing in the IPL and he asks to come back, you can't ignore that really. I don't think. I would still want to see him play one international series before, maybe the one against India before the World Cup if he wants to play again.
No, I want to see him play the Sri Lanka one before. He needs to come and play after the IPL. Because the problem about this is everyone wants AB de Villiers, but he's taking somebody's spot. And right now, people are busy crying for Aiden Markham in the comment section. That's the spot that's going to be taken. Because if you're going with Quinny and Temba at the top, you've got Faf, AB, Rassie, and David Miller in that top six. That's a world-class top six. So he's taking someone's spot. I understand that, and that's where the anger needs to go to. Shouldn't come to me, shouldn't go to Temba, it shouldn't go to the selectors, it should go to the man named AB de Villiers because he is taking that young person's spot. Kyle Verreynne is not sniffing the World Cup anytime soon. Aiden Markham is probably going to be lucky to get a game or even go on to the World Cup. And this is the reality that we have as South Africa, is that if you want AB de Villiers, you need to tell me who goes out. And if you and you need to understand that that's the nature of the game. It's not we can't just add everybody and take everyone we feel like, and then guys are going to be telling us no, we need to be dropping Rassie. Guys are going to be telling us, and Rassie's position could also be taken away by the fact that AB de Villiers comes back, and we might need a number 6 like Chris Morris, who can bowl in the top 6. And so those are the things that we need to consider as a public and as a nation, as to it goes nowhere near as telling us what that 11 looks like in India. It kind of gives us an inclination of the guys here around that 15 who can push people out. But the problem is that extra batsman spot that you're going to take to the World Cup, because I'm assuming you're taking a wicketkeeper that's out of Klaasen, that extra batsman spot could actually end up being a Rassie van der Dussen spot because he can't make it into the starting 11.
Aditya, I want to ask you a question here because you guys have some excellent all-rounders as well. You've seen some excellent all-rounders all around the world. We talk about Chris Morris as an all-rounder. A lot of people asking in the comment section for Andile required to be dropped from the squad completely. I want to ask your opinion on Andile when it comes to as an all-rounder. That 50 that he scored in the ODI, does that give you some hope for his position in the South African setup? What are your thoughts on someone like Andile?
I like Andile, and I think he's a talented cricketer. But there's plenty of scope for improvement, and I think he needs to work on certain skills and bring them up to scratch if he wants to be a number 7 player for the Proteas. Look, number 7 now in this day and age is a very tricky position because that player needs to be able to bat and bowl. The question is, and we discussed it on previous show as well. His career striker rate in ODI is 87. That's not good enough for a number 7 batsman. Hardik Pandya's striking in the death overs at 190. So, you look at the difference there. And same with guys like Moeen Ali, same with like Andre Russell is striking at like 200, 210. So that's a massive difference with his batting. I was impressed with the 50 that he scored in that last ODI, certainly. But we need to ask that question: was that a game-changing 50? It gave you hope, but was that really a game-changing 50? Because he was still striking at like around 90. And I know that the top order didn't do as well, and there was a rebuilding job. But the fact of the matter is that I personally haven't seen enough innings where Andile is changing games with the bat. And that's my worry for the T20 as well. My real question, I agree with everything both said, and personally I want to see AB de Villiers play for the Proteas, but I also agree with everything that both said about him taking, potentially another player's spot. But the series with India right before the World Cup has come at such a tricky time, because if you don't take AB de Villiers for whatever reason, and there's this media uproar about it, and then if South Africa goes and plays India and they lose badly, that's not going to be pretty. The team is going to be under more pressure than any other team in the World Cup, even before the World Cup begins.
Even any other IPL player that you've dropped out and you still lose. So, for instance, if you don't take Marco Jansen, but you can't bowl India out at the death, even with the 3 IPL guys there, it will still create a stir. And I think that's kind of is going to hamstring the selectors, because you leave someone out, you're going to just have questions every single game.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that famous C word is going to be in the equation at least a couple of months before the World Cup starts. So South Africa is already under immense pressure. And then on top of that, there's the AB conundrum. And whether AB plays India or doesn't play India sort of conundrum, and what that result is going to be. Because India is a far more settled side, and they're going to be harder to defeat. So it is an uphill task. And I hope that the management and Boucher and everyone, I hope they understand what's going to happen in that period of time, because it's a tricky question. You look at the innings that AB played the other day.
And if he doesn't win the World Cup and he brings AB back, Boucher's going to get it.
Because if you go back to the innings that he played the other day, that 48, and the way he took down Trent Bolt in the 18th over, that was pure genius.
It was amazing
he was playing on a different wicket compared to everyone else.
But Marco Jansen had him, eh? He had him at bay there.
And that's another thing. If you put out an 11 that doesn't have a Marco Jansen, what is going to happen? Or even a 15 that doesn't happen?
Because there's no doubt in my mind that Marco Jansen currently he offers a little bit more than Bjorn Hendricks in my eyes, because of the fact that he can bat a bit, and that if he's learning this Yorker deliveries now, if he's learning this in Mumbai, this guy. My thing is, how do players handle pressure, man? So you're playing for the champions, right? In the biggest game in the world, probably one of the biggest tournaments in the world, other than the World Cup.
That's the number one derby, essentially. Those two.
You get given the ball in the last over to fight bowl against AB. Do you know how much nerves that are running through your system there? and you don't bowl 3 consecutive full tosses. You don't go and bowl for wides. You get the ball on the money. Incredible. Incredible.
And he had only
And
6 runs to defend.
yeah. And there's only 6
And he
runs
had
to
only
defend.
6 runs.
There's certain times where I say mentality trumps talent every day of the week for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And the same question with Mr. Moneybags, Chris Morris. If he doesn't get into this SA side, there'll be questions.
There's gonna be questions. Yeah.
You know, and
Did you watch it tonight?
that's no, I was watching some
Hammered for 6 first ball. An idiot like Deepak.
Well, he got
this
36
guy,
million.
Yeah, he made like 50. He made 64 of 28. Chris Morris comes in first ball out of the park.
That's not good for South Africa, but yeah.
My man KL Rahul, man. My man
Yeah, but
KL
one
Rahul.
other thing on Andile's side is that, remember, Andile got COVID in that England series. He never got to play then. His domestic series has been truncated with that, and then when he came to play domestic in that first CSA T20 for South Africa, he got injured. He pulled a hamstring, and he hasn't played cricket since then. He hasn't played cricket in a month. And so they brought him on knowing that he was lacking match fitness, but they needed him in there to play. And so you saw those, he's slightly off color. And right now, the biggest problem, and this is the one thing I'm not excusing Andile for, as Aditya said, that strike rate needs to go over 1. In a T20 batting at number 7, you need to either be striking above 150. Actually, you should be striking at 170, but because that's where Chris Morris and Dwayne Pretorius are striking it at. But you need to be striking at least above 150 for us to then say maybe your bowling is good enough to keep you in the side. Because right now, I look at Andile as our 4th best bowler, maybe even 5th after Marco Jansen and after the three guns that we have at the top. And so right now, I'd select Andile as a pure bowler. So if he can't make it as a batsman, he bats either at 8 downwards, but not as a number 7. And if that's the case and he wants to be considered as an all-rounder, he needs to be striking at that. And I don't think he makes the side as a pure bowler. I think he makes the side as a hybrid. He can make the side as a hybrid, but there are better hybrids out there. And one guy who we'd like to see in that number 6, 7 role, we've seen George Linder, and he's probably got a foot on the plane as a spinning all-rounder at number 6 and 7. The next spot is either Vian Mulder, Marco Jansen. If Marco Jansen is that, it can bat a little and strike it at a high rate. I wouldn't have he wasn't supposed to be playing the T20s, and I wouldn't have selected him. I would have selected him for the ODIs because it's a little slightly longer and you want him to get his fitness back. But for the T20s, I wouldn't have selected him. I would have tried to give Vian Mulder a much longer run in the side to see what he can give us. But I think that form in Pakistan and before then he's probably played himself out the side. And that's the T20 side. That is the ODI side. I think he's also on the way to do that, and you want him to change his mentality and work on his game. And so I think there is cause to drop him, and it's really sad. I'm just saying that he was injured coming into this series, and that's the disappointing thing with a guy like Andile. So much potential, but he's not living up to it.
Yeah, this is one of those things. I think at the moment there's not a lot of players that's places are safe in this team. There's going to be a lot of competition, other than the guys, obviously, that we know in the batting lineup, like we say. I mean, even a guy like Rassie, if AB comes back, it's tough. So I'm talking about for the squad as a whole, the guys that are knocking on the door for those extra spots in the team, in the squad. Nobody's position is kind of safe yet, I feel. It's not nobody. There's been up and downs with regard. I'm talking about the 2023 World Cup. I'm talking about now. The T20 World Cup is a little bit easier to move.
Well, there's one name in pen for all those in all those squads, but everyone else is fair game.
Yeah.
But the 2023 World Cup, you should open Janneman and Markram. It should be that. Yeah. Or Janneman, Quinton, Markram at 3, Timber at 4, some sort of situation like that. But it's going to be very tough to also figure that one out with Rassie and David still eligible to get that 2023 World Cup top 6 working somehow. But yeah, it's a good problem to have. But I think South Africa's issue is you need selectors who are going to make the tough decisions, make gutsy decisions, and pick an 11 that's going to win. And it's going to come down to guys who can handle the mentality, because the talent is there. You can see it even in this series. The talent's there. Aiden's there. Yanaman's there. Rassi's around. You've got guys in the IPL. It's just finding the right combination of those guys to pick. The problem is that you're going to get the media scrutiny. You need to make them thick-skinned and make them be able to rise above it. Because in 2019, the AB question was there and they fell woefully behind, because after they started losing games, everyone was talking about AB de Villiers. They even brought in the question about, I remember one game in Hampshire and Temba was sitting in the stands, and Temba had no part in being in that squad, and people were asking why Temba Bavuma wasn't in the side, and you were like, but guys, he hasn't got an opportunity. And so that's the type of stuff that the media is going to bring, as Aditya said. And you either need to be gutsy and have a thick skin going to this World Cup in India and make the tough choices if you leave AB de Villiers behind. If not, you can just go with the safer option, pad your team with all the IPL players, and then pick around everyone else, and then try to figure out a way to fit all the IPL players in to a starting 11, and then play from there. As a safer option. Maybe that could work, because we haven't done that before. Or you just say, okay, fine, I'm going to pick the guys I think are going to win and leave some IPL guys behind. And it's going to be tough, but let's hope that Mark and the guys can do it, because right now it does feel like they will go with the safer option.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that's all we have for you today. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. Aditya, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and Paul coming on the show as well. Thanks a lot to the fans for all the support that you've been showing us in the comment section. Remember that the super chat is available for you guys if you want your comments to be read out on this live stream. So just keep that in mind in our daily shows. Click like, comment, share, subscribe, press the notification bell for all future videos, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all the updates. We do reports basically on the game, player moments of the game, and then we have some reaction pieces and press conferences, etc., that we also keep bring to you as well. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow with another daily show, preview show, etc. Cheers, everybody.